Okay, so we're diving into Greek mythology today, and specifically we're going deep on Zeus.
Ah, Zeus.
Yeah, get ready for some serious family drama, because let me tell you, this god was busy.
That's one way to put it.
Honestly, I felt like I needed a flowchart just to keep track of all his relationships.
Oh, you're not wrong. But you know, these myths, these stories about Zeus's escapades, they were more than just gossip for the ancient Greeks.
Oh, really? I mean, I get the feeling some of them were pretty scandalous, even for back then.
Absolutely. But these stories were also their way of explaining the world around them. Imagine seeing a bolt of lightning and thinking, wow, Zeus is angry today.
Right, so it was like their version of science.
In a way, they didn't have our understanding of meteorology or physics, so these myths provided explanations for natural phenomena, human emotions, even the very order of the cosmos.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's talk about Zeus's love life. Or should I say lives? Seriously, this guy was everywhere.
He certainly got around, and it's through these relationships that we see the creation of the Greek pantheon as we know it. Gods, goddesses, demigods, you name it. Zeus was probably related to them somehow.
Talk about a complicated family tree.
Exactly. And at the center of it all is Hera, Zeus's wife and queen of the gods.
Yeah, poor Hera. She gets painted as this jealous, vengeful figure, but can you blame her?
Not really. I mean, imagine being married to Zeus. Talk about a challenge. But Hera is a complex figure. Yes, she was jealous, but she was also powerful, cunning, and determined to maintain her position no matter what Zeus was up to.
And he gave her a lot to deal with, didn't he? I mean, we're not just talking about flings here. He had children with these other goddesses, nymphs, mortals. And some of those kids turned out to be pretty major players in the Greek pantheon.
Exactly. Take Athena, for example.
Goddess of wisdom, right?
That's right. Born fully grown from Zeus's head, no less.
Ow. Talk about a headache.
It's a powerful image, isn't it? And it speaks to Athena's unique position among the gods. She's a symbol of wisdom, strategy, and military prowess, but she's also closely associated with her father.
Right. And then there's Apollo and Artemis, the twin archers.
Children of Leto, another one of Zeus's, shall we say, romantic interests.
Definitely. They're fascinating because they represent such different domains. Apollo with the sun, music, poetry, and Artemis with the moon, hunting, wilderness. Yet they're connected by their parentage, which must have made family reunions pretty interesting.
To say the least. And that's what makes these myths so compelling. These aren't just stories about gods and goddesses. They're stories about family, loyalty, betrayal, revenge, all the things that make human relationships so messy and complicated, but also so fascinating.
Yeah, it's like a cosmic soap opera.
Mm.
And speaking of complicated, we can't forget about Hermes, right? Messenger of the gods, god of travelers, thieves, commerce, even a bit of a trickster, if I remember correctly.
You've got it. Hermes was definitely a multitasker. And yes, another one of Zeus's offspring. His mother was Maia, one of the Pleiades.
The Pleiades, right? Those were the 7 daughters of Atlas.
Exactly. So you see her, everything ties back together. These family connections create this intricate web of relationships that shaped the dynamics of the entire Greek pantheon.
It's a lot to keep track of, but that's what we're here for, right?
Huh.
To try to untangle some of these threads and see what they can tell us about the ancient Greeks, their beliefs, and their world. And speaking of untangling, we've got to talk about Dionysus.
Ah, Dionysus, god of wine, revelry, theater, and born from Zeus's thigh.
Don't even get me started on that. Honestly, of all the weird birth stories in Greek mythology, that one takes the cake.
Yeah.
But I guess that's Dionysus for you, always the life of the party.
Right. But he also represents this idea of rebirth, transformation, and the duality of human nature. He's a complex figure, just like the rest of the Olympian family.
Okay, so we've got all these affairs, all these children. What was Hera's take on all of this? I mean, did she just put up with it?
Well, she wasn't exactly thrilled about it. There are countless stories about Hera taking revenge on Zeus's lovers and their children. But there's also a fascinating myth about Zeus tricking Hera, even when it came to his own infidelity.
Oh, tell me more.
So Zeus was known for his disguises, right?
Oh, absolutely. He was always transforming himself into animals or other beings to get closer to those he desired.
Exactly. Well, in this myth, Zeus transforms himself into a cuckoo bird.
A cuckoo bird, seriously.
Yes, and he uses this disguise to seduce Hera. It's a strange story, but it reveals a lot about how the ancient Greeks viewed their gods.
Like what?
Well, on one hand, it shows that even the queen of the gods could be fooled by Zeus's trickery. But on the other hand, some scholars interpret this myth as a way to kind of explain away Hera's anger, to make her seem overly suspicious.
Oh, interesting. So it's like they're trying to control the narrative, even when it comes to the gods.
Exactly. It makes you wonder how much of Greek mythology was about exploring these very human flaws, even in their gods, and how much was about justifying certain behaviors or power structures.
Hmm, that's something to think about. It seems like there's always more to uncover when it comes to these myths. Okay, so we've been talking about Zeus's, let's call it, colorful personal life.
Right.
But we can't forget, he wasn't just the god of love and lightning.
No, not at all.
He was also the king of the gods, right? The one who led the charge against the Titans and basically established a new world order.
Exactly. And that's a whole other epic saga right there.
So for those of us who need a little refresher, what was the deal with the Titans? Who were these guys and why were they due for an overthrow?
Well, the Titans were the older generation of gods, the children of Gaia, the earth, and Uranus, the sky.
Right.
They represented these primordial forces of nature, raw and untamed, and for a time, they ruled the universe.
Right, I remember that. But their reign wasn't exactly peaceful, was it?
No, not exactly. It was marked by conflict and instability, a lot like Zeus's love life, actually.
Mm, good point. So how did Zeus enter the picture? Did he just show up, thunderbolt in hand, and say, all right, everyone out of the pool?
Not quite. The war against the Titans, or the Titanomachy as it's known, was a long and brutal affair. We're talking 10 years of epic battles, mountains crumbling, the seas boiling, the sky ablaze with divine fire.
Wow, that's some intense imagery. What finally tipped the scales in Zeus's favor?
Well, Zeus had a secret weapon, or a few secret weapons, I should say.
Oh, like what?
For one, his trusty thunderbolts forged by the Cyclops.
Ah, yes. Can't forget those.
But it wasn't just about brute force. Zeus was also incredibly cunning and strategic. He was able to persuade some of the Titans to join his side.
Including Prometheus, right?
Exactly. Prometheus, the Titan who gave fire to humanity.
Didn't end so well for him, though, did it? I mean, chained to a rock, eagle eating his liver every day. That's rough.
Yeah, let's just say Zeus had a bit of a temper, but Prometheus's alliance was crucial to Zeus's victory.
Right. So the Titans are defeated, banished to the darkest depths of the underworld.
Exactly. And with the old order overthrown, Zeus was free to establish his own reign, create a new world order.
Sounds like it's time to pop open the nectar and celebrate.
Well, not so fast. Zeus's troubles weren't over just yet.
Oh, now what now? Another jealous lover.
Not this time. This time it was something far more terrifying.
Okay, you've got my attention. What could be scarier than a jealous Hera?
Imagine a creature so monstrous, so powerful that even the gods trembled before it. I'm talking about Typhon.
Typhon. The name rings a bell.
He was a monstrous, serpent-like creature, 100 dragon heads, each one capable of spewing fire and venom.
100 heads. That seems a bit excessive, even for a mythical monster.
Typhon was the embodiment of chaos, a force of nature so primal, so destructive, that he threatened to unravel the very fabric of creation.
Okay, now I'm really starting to get nervous. How did Zeus even begin to fight something like that?
Well, the myths tell us that the battle between Zeus and Typhon was unlike anything the world had ever seen. It was a clash of titans, literally, with mountains crumbling, the seas parting, the sky torn asunder by lightning.
I can only imagine.
In the end, after a fierce and protracted battle, Zeus was able to defeat Typhon, trapping him beneath Mount Etna.
Ah, so that's why it erupts. It's just Typhon letting off a little steam.
Exactly. The ancient Greeks wove these myths into their understanding of the natural world.
Fascinating. So Zeus conquers the Titans,
Mhm.
defeats this monstrous Typhon. You'd think he'd be ready to, I don't know, put his feet up and relax for a bit.
You'd think.
But this is Zeus we're talking about, right? Always up for a challenge.
That he is. And his greatest challenge, perhaps, was learning to wield the immense power he'd accumulated.
That makes sense. I mean, it's one thing to win a war, but it's another thing entirely to rule a kingdom, especially one as chaotic and unpredictable as, the cosmos.
Precisely. And that's what makes Zeus such a compelling figure. He's not just a one-dimensional hero. He's flawed, impulsive, capable of great love and great anger. He's a reflection of ourselves and all our messy, complicated glory.
Zeus sure keeps us on our toes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone from love affairs to epic battles to, well, even more love affairs.
It's been a wild ride. But through it all, I think we're starting to see a more complete picture of Zeus, not just as a god, but as a character, a force of nature in his own right.
Absolutely. So let's recap, shall we? We started with Zeus's, shall we say, active love life.
Right, which wasn't just about, gossip and scandal.
No, definitely not. I mean, those stories were definitely entertaining, but they also revealed so much about the ancient Greeks' understanding of family, fate, even the balance of power between men and women.
Absolutely. Hera, for example, is often portrayed as this jealous, vengeful figure, but she was also incredibly powerful and cunning in her own right.
Right. She was literally married to the most powerful god in the cosmos, and she held her own. I have to respect that.
As you should. She's a reminder that even in a patriarchal society, women were forces to be reckoned with.
Okay, so then we get to Zeus's, let's call it, hostile takeover of the cosmos. Battling titans, subduing monsters.
Like Typhon. Don't forget Typhon. That was a battle for the
How
ages.
could I forget 100 dragon heads?
The ancient Greeks sure knew how to create some terrifying monsters, but those monsters, those battles, they weren't just about spectacle.
No, they were also a way to explain the unexplainable. Volcanoes, earthquakes, storms,
Mhm.
they all made a lot more sense when you could blame them on a disgruntled god or monster.
Exactly. These myths provided a framework for understanding the natural world, which could be pretty unpredictable and often terrifying.
Makes sense. But then there was that whole thing with Io, the priestess Zeus turned into a cow.
Ah, yes. Io, another example of Zeus's, shall we say, unconventional approach to romance.
But her story also took us beyond the Greek world, didn't it? I mean,
Mhm.
she ended up in Egypt, connected to their gods, their mythology.
Exactly. And that's what I find so fascinating about Greek mythology. It wasn't this closed system. The ancient Greeks were constantly interacting with other cultures, exchanging ideas, even blending their beliefs.
Right. It reminds us that the ancient world was much more interconnected than we often realize.
Precisely. And that's a lesson that's still relevant today.
So what's the takeaway here? What can we learn from all this, from Zeus and his adventures?
I think on one level, these myths remind us that even gods aren't perfect. They make mistakes, they act impulsively, they face consequences, just like us.
True. And yet there's also this sense of wonder, of possibility in these
Like,
stories.
absolutely. The ancient Greeks looked to their gods not just for answers, but for inspiration, for guidance on how to navigate the complexities of life, love, and loss.
And maybe, just maybe, to have a little fun along the way.
Exactly. These myths are a reminder that life is messy, unpredictable, and often quite strange. But it's also a journey worth taking, with all its twists, turns, and unexpected encounters.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the world of Zeus, his loves, his battles, and his enduring legacy. And remember, there's always more to discover when it comes to Greek mythology, a seemingly endless source of wisdom, wonder, and let's be honest, a little bit of scandal. Thanks for listening.